Good afternoon, John Verlin again, On Demand Advertising Solutions with another digital marketing update. Podcast number 26, How well do you know your customer? Well, customer engagement is the new marketing. That's what I want to talk about today. And Sujan, S-U-J-A-N, Sujan Patel has a great post, an article in July's Inc. magazine. And I ran across this last week because I was trying to put my notes together, do a little prep for this podcast, as I mentioned last week. And he had this post. I think it's great, and you might want to check it out. But he talks about 4 things of how customer engagement is becoming the new marketing. And it's really exactly what I'm trying and have been trying to say over the last 7 months since I started this business. The first thing he points out is understanding how customers are driving revenue. They're driving revenue not only for maintaining existing revenue, but the key to unlocking future revenue. And I've talked about the last few weeks about getting referrals, and that's part of it. Is they offer up referrals to you to continue to drive your revenues and sales, and they may themselves continue to buy from you as well as recommend people. But he says that first point is that various changes in business models and trends have ultimately shifted power from the seller, you, to the buyer, your customer. In general, less commitment is required on part of the customer. It's easier and cheaper than ever before to leave and seek alternate solutions if value isn't being delivered. And because of this, great customer experience can become a prominent competitive differentiator. Boy, that is an excellent way of saying that. It's because of this shift I've been talking about to more online experiences where people can leave reviews, comments, whatever, changes things for all of us as business owners and how we treat the customer. And he talks about that great customer experience. Michael Fallon, who is the Director of Customer Success at PTC, says that customers have a voice and a choice. They have the power to remain or take their business elsewhere and to tell others about why they decided to do so. Wow. We didn't have this before. Now you did. It was maybe word of mouth, but it's now that times 10 because of these social media platforms and the fact that people are using these so often to state their feelings, particularly if they've had a bad experience. Man, they go right to Facebook or go online somewhere and start spewing forth whatever. So he talks about happy customers. Sometimes we forget about they're underutilized as an asset when it comes to driving acquisition, so to speak, or increased sales. He calls them customer advocates, can help your brand by writing online reviews, referring prospects, acting as references, driving event registration, giving product feedback, writing testimonials, increasing social shares and engagement with your content, and even creating content. He says possibilities are endless and depend largely on company needs and strategies. And that's another good way of summarizing really the value of the customer, of all the things they can do for you if we ask them to. Customer testimonials, you can't beat that. They're great. That's one reason we suggest in content for podcasts or video or whatever you use to increase or encourage some of your best customers to be involved. Tell them you would like a testimonial and you'd like to interview them on a podcast to talk about not only your business, maybe their business, and how your business might be helping their business or how they use your product or services. The benefits they get, and they'll be thrilled, particularly if you tell them you're going to put them on a podcast and record them. And they're going to want a copy of that, and they're going to send that to everybody they know. And now you just multiplied the potential people exposed to it. So that's why we like podcasts so well, not just written content, even though it's transcribed into written content, because people are excited about it, and they want to send it out and let everybody know. Now, advocacy, he talks about, is a proactive process and that relationships must be formed and nurtured before customers can be mobilized as spokespersons for your brand. And that all comes back to the central question, okay, who's going to own that customer experience? He talks about within an organization, is it going to be sales, marketing? Who's going to manage that? You've got to decide that. But really, as I've talked about before, the customer experience starts probably before you even know it, because they're probably going online, checking you out, getting reviews about you, what people have said. And that's why I emphasize so much, particularly for small business, to get involved with social media, get online, get your message out there. Do it not only with daily posts on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, but with content on a blog, like these podcasts. Why? Because it's accessible content to people who are checking you out, and they're getting to know you. You're listening to this, getting to know me, and I don't even know you're probably listening. But on down the road, you might contact me and say, oh yeah, I've been listening to your podcast. I like podcast 23 or whatever, That's why these are important, because it's pre-selling yourself and your brand in various platforms in various ways before they even do business with you. And this is becoming, again, more and more important. Who's going to own that experience for the customer and who's going to start it? And you can be proactive in starting that. And it must be, he says, continuous selling. You got to constantly keep doing it. Now, fostering this continuous selling, he talks about you can incentivize a sales team, for example, to be involved and stay involved by basing part of their compensation of advocacy customers, of what they provide for your business, as measured by references they give, referrals, case studies, testimonials. In other words, incentivize your sales team to get that information from these people and compensate them for it, so you don't drop the customer and they lose, and you forget about them. So all of this is part of this selling process, and he talks about this surrounding customer success also need to shift. Identifying and nurturing advocacy must become just as much a priority as upselling and renewing. And the real key here is, he says, customers represent something very real you could lose because they've used your product and formed an opinion. Think about that. You've done a good job for them, that's going to give referrals, and they formed an opinion. And that's why this continuous selling, continuous communication with them not only might upsell them on down the road, it's going to keep that opinion high. And if it ever changes and they let you know about it, you can answer it right away because you're engaged with them. And this, again, why I've titled this Customer Engagement is the New Marketing, because you're consistently out there with them and you don't forget them. Now, next question he asks is, do you really know your customers? Confusion, he says, surrounding ownership is a recipe for customer neglect, especially as you begin to add marketing automation and other technology tools to the mix. And that's why it's so important to decide who's going to manage this account, so to speak. Now, he says that the problem with technology is you can remove that humanity from the engagement. But you can use technology to do messages through emails, videos, social or other mediums. He says you can collect more personal customer data, create relevant nurture campaigns based off customer interests and product usages, and community building and networking. That's how you can use technology. As I mentioned earlier, monthly emails with a newsletter, an occasional survey sent through an email, to keep monitoring what your customer needs are. But it's understanding, and it's really important, that they are a human and not a number. And this is, I guess, you're using technology to keep them front and center so they feel like you're their friend. And again, I keep coming back to these podcasts, but one reason I like them is they can listen to your podcast at any time and feel like they know you. This is the magic of repetition of an audio format. You can watch videos about you, but these are easy to engage, and they can listen on a smartphone or whatever and just sit back and listen and have a cup of tea or something. But they feel like they know you. This is all part of that selling experience and the customer getting to know you and wanting to do business with you. Now, he points out that, remember, when customers make purchases, they do it in order to solve a problem. And the value you offer in your solution will be unique to each of those customers. And to make it integral, that you understand individual needs. He says, Fallon says, tomorrow's leaders in customer engagement will be the ones who truly lead with knowing the customer and their outcomes at a very detailed level. It's really, like we get back to talk about customer surveys, it's asking them what their needs are. And learning, basically, a lot of times we have a group we send emails to. Sooner or later, they're going to get burned out with our communications. It's consistently having a methodical plan to stay in front of them, whether it's a survey, understanding the cost per customer, the cost to keep a customer for the lifetime value, true or total active users. All these metrics of understanding the value of a customer, but then keeping that customer. And that's why staying in front of them is so critical with all of this. So basically, customer relationships are an incredible way to drive revenue. It's just knowing where to start. And that's why we recommend starting immediately on social media and getting podcasts and content on a blog to start a process with people who you invite into to read your blog or listen to your podcast or whatever that is. So it's you taking that step to move forward with your brand by engaging prospects that eventually become customers. John Verlin's my name. I'm at jverlin, VERLIN 1, jverlin1 at yahoo.com. Questions or comments, you can visit ondemandadvertisingsolutions.com, my website. Love to hear from you. We'll talk to you again next week. You have a great day.